Board of Registrars meeting for Wednesday, September 25th, 2025, 11 a.m. will come to order. My name is Mark Nestor. I'm one of the registrars. I would ask the other two registrars to identify themselves for the record.
Catherine Gooddick.
Mary Beth?
First order of business on the agenda is to approve the July 29, 2025 Board of Registrars minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Wait.
He's gonna do his thing.
Have the registrars read the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any changes that you would like to make to the minutes? Hearing none, I have a motion to approve the Board of Registrars minutes for July 29, 2025. Do I have a motion?
Moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'll be abstaining as the clerk member of the registers.
And against, no. The ayes have it. The Board of Registrars minutes for July 29, 2025 is approved. The second order of business on the agenda is in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 54, Section 25B, subsection C1, the Board of Registrars shall review and possible vote on whether or not to offer early voting for November 4th, 2025 municipal election. Can we have a brief background by the city clerk?
Yes, the first time early voting was ever used for a municipal election was for the special election in April. That was for a, not that it makes a difference, but that was a question. There were no candidates on that ballot. Regarding early voting for municipal elections, it's the only time when the Board of Registrars has the authority to decide really whether or not they want to offer early voting. And 50% of the board has to vote in the affirmative in order for it to move forward to a vote by the city council. If the Board of Registrars chooses not to offer early voting for the municipal election, then it would die here.
And what is the cost of running the early election?
The early voting based on, so in April, because it was one question on the ballot, we chose to just do it from the city clerk's office, which ended up being really, really hectic. We happened to have an intern at the time, which helped us. But we offered it for full business hours. Had we hired someone for that, for 1 week of early voting, it would have cost us approximately $1,250 to hire staff for that week.
If it was offered for 1 week,
Correct.
is if we decide that we are in favor of early voting, does that decide on the time period of when it's eligible, or is that up to the city council, or is that is set in statute by the
It's
Massachusetts?
the Board of Registrars that could determine the time frame that early voting is offered, and then the city council votes to approve it.
Okay, so in other words, if it was, let's say that the estimated cost of doing it was, $1,500 a week or something. If we decided to do it for a month, then it'd be, $6,000.
You're maxed out at 17 days,
Okay,
so you can really only do it for 2 weeks leading up to
Okay.
an election. But 1 week leading up to a preliminary election.
okay.
But the Board of Registrars would be able to set the hours. It doesn't clearly say the city council votes on, the request from the Board of Registrars for early voting, so they might be able to modify that request, like, once they actually get it in front of them. If, let's just say you said, let's offer it 3 hours a day, the city council might be able to say, well, we want it to be for 6 hours a day. It doesn't clearly say that, it just says that they have to vote on the recommendation.
If the city council increases the number of hours the registrars approve, the city council have to provide the additional funds to pay that full-time person for the second week?
We would have to find funds within our budget.
Within the city clerk's office budget.
Yes, within the money that has been allocated for those types of unexpected expenses. So it says the city council may vote to authorize early in-person voting for any city. Such vote may only be taken after a request from not less than 50% of the registrars of the city recommending in-person early voting. The vote shall occur not less than 5 business days prior to the proposed beginning of it.
And can you read into the record the citation that you're,
Yes. Mass General Law, Chapter 54, Section 25B, C1. It also, and then C2 says, as part of the vote to allow early in-person voting under this subsection, a city shall set the early voting period to begin not sooner than 17 days before the preliminary or election, and end not later than 2 business days preceding the preliminary or election. Early voting under this subsection shall be conducted during the usual business hours of the city or town clerk unless different hours are set as part of the vote to allow in-person voting, early in-person voting, including any weekend hours. So the vote, the Board of Registrars makes a recommendation and the city council votes. So to me, that would say that the city council could modify the recommendation, modify the hours recommended.
any other questions, Barry?
I don't have questions. Whenever we're ready for have a discussion.
Any questions?
No, not this time.
All right, let me start. My sense, I voted for the primary not to have early open voting. Figured the mail-in ballots and voting would do it. What ended up happening is we had a total of 5,142 votes cast out of 22,493 registered voters for 21.8%. The leading candidate received approximately 2,384 votes, or about 10% of the total vote of the electorate of the population. My concern is that because it's now a contested election, and because it is now for all the apples, namely the mayor, that I'm more inclined to expand the voting and have open voting for a week to ensure that we get as many voters as we can to vote, because I would hate to have even the appearances that the winning candidate won, but he only received like 15% of the total vote of the population, so it doesn't really send a clear mandate to what the voters want to do in the city. And I would hope that apathy is not the mandate of the setting. So I would recommend that we open it for 1 week, and then I'd put a caveat suggestion if the city council elected to extend it more than the 1 week, that the city council fund the clerk's office for the additional monies for that second week and not take it out of the clerk's budget. I understand it's only a recommendation, it's not binding. The city council and the mayor can do whatever they want, but I would at least put it on the record that if we're gonna stress the clerk's office to more than 1 week, and I think they gotta be compensated, so it shouldn't come out of their budget. That's my sense.
And are you just saying during the city clerk's office hours, not a weekend? Or
I would say Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4. On Friday, probably look for the registrars to come in to man it from the 12:30 until 4:30. When's the normal business hours of clerks? 8:30 to 4:30?
On Friday, it's.
No, Monday through
No,
Friday.
Monday through, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we're open from 8:30 to 4. Thursday, we're open from 8:30 to 6:30. Friday, we're open from 8:30 to 12:30. I just want to throw out there that even with state elections, we have never been open till 4 on a Friday for early voting. So
I was gonna put it like at 2. I'd go vote 8:30 to 4 Monday through Wednesday, 8:30 to 5:30 on Thursday, and 8:30 to 1:30 on Friday. So registrars may have to pony up to be here for another hour, but at least we've given the other voters some additional time to get in, because I would like to see as many
voters.
voters I can show up, so at least whoever gets a mandate gets a mandate. Type situation. That's my only sense on it, but I welcome any kind of communication, any comments from the other two.
I originally was gonna say no, but listening to the statistics of how many people actually came in to vote, it was really low. And you're right, this is for the mayor, it's for all the marbles. It would be really nice to give people an opportunity.
Well, yeah, and truthfully, I'm also looking that the mayor gets a mandate so that what he elects to do during his 2 years, he can somewhat comfortably say, this is what the citizens of Gloucester want, because they put me in. So the more numbers we can get, the better it's gonna be.
My feeling is that, I'm not sure that, by extending, adding early voting, regardless of what the specific hours would be, that we're actually going to gain anything in this sense. The preliminary election, which ended up only being for, the mayor and not any other, offices, either, city council or school committee. And yet it was a very highly contested, race between the three, with all sorts of commentary in the public domain, whether it be, on things like social media or in the newspaper or whatever. And the turnout was what it was, and the numbers, speak what they said, whatever they say. I'm not sure that, for the, regular election, that we're gonna get more people by doing early voting. I would think we would get a little bit more, higher percentage of the voter, total, voter count, just because we're now, doing not only the city council, but we're doing, not only the mayor's office, but we're doing the city council and, the school committee, both of which have, contests, in different, different ways, different wards or whatever. I would, therefore, just generally say again, since we've never done, for the general election, never done early voting, I would say that we do without it. However, if, the feeling of the Board of Registrars, the majority is, to go ahead and have early voting, I would ask that whether it be a 1 week period or a 2 week period, that, we ask when this goes to, the city council, that we ask the city council to go ahead and fund whatever it is, whether it's 1 week or 2 weeks. I don't think, if it's, 2 weeks, we shouldn't say, okay, the clerk's office, we're gonna take it out of your budget for 1 week, and then for the second week, we're gonna have a council. As far as I'm concerned, if we're gonna go with the early voting, it's a new thing. Then we've gotta go be able to fund it without, doing extra, and I'd prefer to see, requests, and again, that doesn't require them to do that, but it would require the city council to take a stand as to whether they, feel that, they should find the money, or whether, it should come out of the, budget. We've talked about, having something different going on as far as in the clerk's office, as like an election committee, or, whatever you want to call it. That's not the specific reason I'm saying this. That's just my feeling.
Here's my philosophical reason. I want to give people ample opportunity to vote. By walk-ins early, by mail-ins, by showing up elections early. So when an election is said and done, someone is elected, either city council, school committee, or mayor. The naysayers can't say, well, I don't agree with what he said. My first comments can be, did you vote? You didn't vote? You've essentially given up your right to complain. I know you don't, because you had an opportunity to change the table. You didn't change the table, and I get to do it 2 years. And I would have no problem asking you to. Okay. We're in recess for a second.
No, never mind, from a week ago's election. You can't, you go by mail or.
All right, we're back on the record. I would have no problem modifying the motion based on what Mr. Pett said, that if we do them, I would make it, I would suggest we make a motion to have open early voting for 1 week prior to the election, only Monday through Friday, Monday through Wednesday, 8:30 to 4. On Thursday, 8:30 to 5:30, and on Friday, 8:30 to 1:30. And we would make a suggestion to the city council that they reimburse the clerk's office for the cost for the extra person. Yes,
I really think that if you're going to have a week of early voting, then it should stay on the schedule that people expect from early voting, which is from 8:30 to 4, Monday through Wednesday, 8:30 to 6:30 on Thursday, 8:30 to 8:30 to 12:30 on Friday. That's what people have come to expect, and I think you do get a commuter crowd, not
Okay,
kind of
right.
during that last hour of on a Thursday. Generally, anytime you are telling people we're closing the window, it's, that's when the crowd comes, because people like to come at the last minute. So no matter when your last minute's gonna be, that's when the line is gonna form. I just think that's been our standard hours. I think that whatever is recommended to the city council should just be like, we're recommending a week. And it would be the week leading up to the election, is that the
Yes,
week that, okay.
yes.
And there was one other comment I had. Just a thought before you make your motion regarding the budget, the council or anyone might look at that and say, it's not just the city council that's running. You've got the mayoral race, the school committee race as well. And the argument from them might be, well, why aren't other departments kicking in as well for the costs?
I'm not sure what, Mark
City
was
council
saying.
got the first mix.
What he was saying is that the city council finds a way, to pay, whether that's, through them saying, okay, the school department, you cough up X dollars, the mayor's office and whatever it is, and I understand it's not at all enforceable, but at least it would.
Yeah, I mean, we do have funds that can be allocated towards early voting. That's part of what our
Right.
budget was this year. And it went into a reserve.
All right,
so-
I'll make a motion that the Board of Registrars recommend to the city council early voting for the week prior to the election of November 4th, 2025, for the normal business hours of 8:30 to 4:30, Monday through Wednesday.
8:30 to 4.
8:30 to 4, Monday through Wednesday, 8:30 to 6:30 on Thursday, 8:30 to 12:30 on Friday, with pursuant to General Laws 54, Section 25B, subsection C, one, and if the city council elects under the same statute to extend the early voting for the full 17, up to the full 17 days allocated by law, they, together with the mayor, provide additional funds to the city clerk's office to service that time period above the first week. It's up, because the mayor and the city council, between the two of them, are the purse strings, not the school committee, and they're funding out of the general budget, which funds everything else, to include the school committee.
Can I ask one other question? Does, if this is the first time we would be doing early voting for such a thing, mayor race, does this lock us into, we now have to do it all the time?
It doesn't, but it sets a precedent.
It's a precedent, but that's, I mean, this is kind of an experiment. Let's see what happens. If the voting in the primary was miserable, we clearly want to give it enough opportunity. If we discover it doesn't work, that no matter what we do, then we think it, the next time we go back to forget open voting, we've tried to do it to get voters. Voters aren't impressed, they don't do it. Because we can keep track of early voting, so we'll know how many people showed up and what the percentage of the votes. I just want to see if we can get the votes up.
Yeah.
I mean, it may be a exercising fertility, but at least we've given the opportunity, and if they avail it, fine, if they don't avail it, then we rethink.
And having worked in the city clerk's office, I see how busy it is. So adding that layer of early voting into the office adds an awful lot of strain
Oh,
in there, and
we're gonna try to address that issue at a later time period as far as doing a different division within the clerk's house, but that's for
Yeah.
a different day. I made the motion. Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
No.
You're not gonna second? You're not gonna second? Then the motion fails. Do we have another motion?
Would make a motion that we do not offer early voting in the sense, just primarily because there is 100% knowledge of the election coming up for all the different positions. And there is ample notice in time between now and the election day, a minimum of, at least over 45 days. And I do not favor setting the precedent of allowing early voting for the general election. If at the end of the day, if the election results show something for us to change our mind, we can, the Board of Registrars can change that in the future. But at this point, I make a motion that we do not offer early voting for the general election in November.
Do I have a second?
I second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Ayes have it, 2-1. So recorded. Do we have other further business to come before the registrars? Do I have a motion?
I want to say for the record that short of city council holding a public hearing to not offer vote by mail, which I don't believe they will be doing, vote by mail is still an option for the November 4th, 2025 state
Okay.
local election.
Good, and then again, I hope we have a wonderful turnout. There's a lot of people, not just the mayor, city council and school committee. So they're all important positions. Obviously, the mayor is, the mayor's office, but there's a lot of people, and I hope people turn out and vote by mail or, in person.
I agree.
Do you have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No? We're adjourned. Thank you very much.